This video is going to be on calculating missing angles in shapes like triangles and quadrilaterals. Okay, so the first two examples I'm going to run through are two different properties to do with angles in triangles and angles in quadrilaterals. So the first property is that all the angles in a triangle add up to 180, and the second one is that angles in a quadrilateral, that is a four-sided shape, add up to 360. So we're going to deal with these just like we dealt with straight line questions and angles at a point questions. So first off, I'm going to add up the angles that have been given to me. So that's 45 and 95. 5 and 5 is 10. 4, 9 and 1 is 14. And now I'm going to take that value away from 180. So that will give me 40. So x is 40 degrees. Exactly the same for the quadrilateral. Again, I'm going to add up all of the values that have been given to me. 5 and 5 is 10. 5, 7 and 6, and that extra one is 19. 1 and 1 is 2, so I get 290. Now I'm just going to take that away from 360, and I'll get my answer, which is 70. So that means that y is 70 degrees. Okay, so here are three practice questions for you to have a go at. Pause the video, see if you can work out the missing angles A, B, and C. Okay, so hopefully you've had a go at those, so I'm going to run through the answers. So first off, we're going to add up the two angles that we know, that's 63 and 52. Adding those two up, I get 115. Take that away from 180, because it's in a triangle, and I get 10 take away 5 is 5, 7 take away 1 is 6, so A is 65 degrees. Moving on to the next question, this time I've got a four-sided shape, a quadrilateral, so again, I'm going to start off by adding up all of the angles that have been given to me. So starting off, 2 plus 4 plus 8 is 14. 1 plus 7 is 8, plus 6 is 14, plus another 1 is 15, and that leaves me with 1 and 1 is 2. Now, because this is a quadrilateral, I need to take this away from 360. So 360 take away 254, borrowing, 10 take away 4 is 6, 5 take away 5 is 0, 3 take away 2 is 1. So that means that B must be 106 degrees. This last question was slightly harder. This time I've got a combination of a triangle and a quadrilateral. Now there was no way to get C straight away, and instead this is a typical thing that they do on exam questions, that you've got to find two angles that are not actually drawn on there. So first off, we're going to find this angle here, which I'm going to call X. Now you notice that 40, 60 and X lie in a triangle. So I'm going to find X by adding 40 and 60 together, which is 100. Taking it away from 180, so X is 80 degrees. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find this other missing angle here, which I'm going to call Y. Now the way I'm going to do this is by realizing that this is lying on a straight line here. So that means that X and Y must add up to 180. So I'm going to do 180, take away the value of X, which is 80, and I get 100. So Y must equal 100 degrees. Now finally, because I know that Y is 100 degrees, I can now use the angles in a quadrilateral to find C. So I'm going to add up all of the values that I've been given. That's 120, 70, and this new angle 100, which was Y. Adding those up, I get 290. Take it away from 360 because all of those angles are sitting in a four-sided quadrilateral, and I get 70. So finally, I get the answer C is 70 degrees. Okay, another special type of triangle is an isosceles triangle, and there are properties about the angles in isosceles triangles as well. You might remember that isosceles triangles have two equal sides. Okay, this is depicted by these two lines drawn on these triangles here. The other property that isosceles triangles have is that the base angles of an isosceles triangle are equal. So looking at this first example, it means that this angle down the bottom here is equal to the other base angle, which is here. So this means that this angle down the bottom here is also 70 degrees. So that means in an isosceles triangle question, they only need to give you one angle and you should be able to work out all the rest. So now that I've marked on this missing angle 70, I'm going to treat it just like a normal triangle question. I'm going to add the two 70s up, which gives me 140, and take it away from 180, which gives me an answer of 40. So A is 40 degrees. This question down the bottom here, instead of being given a base angle, this time I'm just given the alternate angle, the one at the top here. So the way that I handle this question first is I find out what the two bottom angles add up to, and I do this by taking away from 180 first. So 180 take away 50 is 130. Now I know that this angle down the bottom here is the same as the angle on the other side there. The two base angles are the same. So that means I need to split this 130 in half, and I'm going to do that by dividing by 2. So I'm going to use the bus stop method for that. 13 divided by 2 is 6, with 1 left over. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So that means that B has to be 65 degrees. Okay, here are 3 isosceles triangle questions for you to have a go at. Pause the video and see if you can work out the missing angles A, B, and C. Okay, so hopefully you've had a go at that. So going through the first one, you can see that the base angles, remember, are the same. So that means that I can mark on this base angle is 80 degrees. Treat this like a normal triangle question now. 80 plus 80 is 160. 180 take away 160 is 20. So A is 20 degrees. Again, for B, I'm going to mark on my base angle, which is 25 degrees. Again, treat it just like a normal triangle question. 25 and 25 is 50. 180 take away 50 is 130. So B is 130 degrees. Okay, so finally, this time I am not given a base angle. Okay, I'm given the other angle. So I start this off by taking 60 away from 180, which is 120. And now I need to split that 120 in half to share it between those two C's, and I get an answer of 60. So C is 60 degrees. Okay, so finally, another property that I'm just going to run through, a lot easier than the other ones that we've done so far, is opposite angles are equal. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, opposite angles are made when two straight lines intersect, when two straight lines cross each other. So here in my first example, you can see that I've got two lines crossing each other. I've got this angle T and this angle 40, and these two angles are called opposite angles. So I can just write T is 40 degrees. For the second example, I'm going to use this property that opposite angles are equal in order to find this value S. Now, if you remember, in these questions when we're finding missing angles, sometimes we need to find angles that are not even marked on the diagram yet, and that is this one here. Now, I can spot that this is opposite to 45, so that is 45-degree angle. Now I've got those two angles and S sitting within a triangle, so I'm going to treat this like a triangle question. So I've got 45 and 55 added together gives me 100. Take that away from 180, and I get the answer of 80. So that means that S is 80 degrees. Okay, so again, I've got 3 practice questions for you to have a go at. Pause the video, and we'll run through the answers in a moment. Okay, so let's run through the answers here. So first off at A, hopefully you spotted that this angle here was opposite to 55. And now I'm going to treat it like a triangle question. 55 and 15 add together to make 70. 180 take away 70 is 110. So X is 110 degrees. Okay, so the second question, hopefully you realized that this angle here was opposite to y, and we can work that angle out because it sits within a quadrilateral with the three other angles there. So first off, we're going to find this angle which I've called A. So I've got 115, 65, and 75 all added together. 5, 5, and 5 is 15. 1, 6 is 7, add another 7 is 14, add the last 1 down the bottom there is 15, 1 and 1 is 2. Angles in a quadrilateral add up to 360, so I need to do 360 take away 255. Borrowing, I get 10 take away 5 is 5, 5 take away 5 is 0, 3 take away 2 is 1. So that means A is 105. And that means that y must be 105 because it is opposite to A. Okay, so finally in the last question, hopefully you firstly spotted that this angle here was 45 degrees because it was opposite. And secondly, you noticed these two lines, which meant this was an isosceles triangle. So what I needed to do was to treat this like an isosceles triangle question. So here, I'm not given my base angle, so I need to take away 45 from 180 first. So borrowing, 10 take away 5 is 5, 7 take away 4 is 3, 1 take away 0 is 1. Next, I need to divide this number up by 2. Okay, so I've got 135 divided by 2. So 13 divided by 2 is 6, remainder 1. 15 divided by 2 is 7, remainder 1. Now remember, if you've got remainders, when you finish the number, you need to go into decimal numbers. So 2 going into 10 is 5. So Z is 67.5 degrees. Okay, so hopefully that's helped you to answer questions about angles. Just remember that these angle facts are not actually given in your exam. You need to know these off by heart. And in fact, exam questions on this usually ask you to give reasons for your answers where you need to actually write these angle facts down to get some extra marks. So make sure you learn them and then have a practice at some exam questions. Okay, good luck.